What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Baltimore Ravens Rundown. Coming up on today's show, an NFL Insider gave a little bit of insight on what Eric DeCosta's trade deadlines plans might be, with that coming up in just a little bit under a week. We know how the AFC North standings look right now. Steelers in first, Bengals in third, Ravens in second. Only 2 games back, though. So it's easy to believe that they still might be buyers with so much schedule left in front of them. The good thing is our AFC North substandings look a little bit more in favor for Baltimore. Second place, only behind Steelers talk, around what? 57 subs behind them? 47? I have to do some quick math. Regardless, I'm not here to do math. I'm here to give you guys daily videos, and we do it for free every single day. So subscribe to the channel. Help us get to the top of our AFC North sub rankings. And with that, let's talk about some trades. Like I mentioned earlier, the NFL trade deadline is coming up on Tuesday, November 4th. Crazy to think that we are under a week away with something we've been talking about for a very, very long time. The interesting thing with talking about this, though, over the past couple of weeks is we didn't really know what Baltimore's strategy was going to be, because they went into last week's game sitting at 1-5, and you kind of figured, okay, depending on the result of Week 8 against the Chicago Bears, I think that was going to determine whether the Ravens were buyers or sellers. Well, because they ended up winning that game, and because Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Cleveland all ended up losing their Week 8 matchups, I think it's safe to say that the Baltimore Ravens are going to be buyers, as they still see there's a very, very big chance and a good opportunity for them to make the playoffs in 2025, especially with Lamar Jackson coming back into the fold. Dianna Russini gave us a little bit of insight on what the Ravens have been doing, what positions they've been calling about, and where they might go just 6 days away from that NFL trade deadline. Here's more from the writer for The Athletic. The Ravens, Colts, Lions, and Rams are all making calls for a cornerback. Thank you, Dianna, for that insider information. But I will say, first off, that confuses me just a little bit. Not the fact that they're making calls for a corner, but the fact that that's the only information that we've gotten so far, because I don't disagree that they need help at the cornerback position. I would love help at the cornerback position. But in my opinion, if you're thinking about the things that the Ravens need the most help with, cornerback is far down the list. Now, not incredibly far, not like 11 out of 11, but I would say it's fourth when you're talking about the Ravens' biggest needs. I'd say edge rusher is number 1. Interior defensive lineman is number 2. I could flip-flop those. Interior offensive lineman, I think, is number 3. Honestly, you put those top 3 in any order, but those are the top 3. And then I would say cornerback is right there at number 4. And so while I do believe Dianna Russini, because she's been locked in, she's been connected, and she's called a ton of trades that have happened so far, and I do like that it's kind of been revealed what they've been trying to do by the deadline, I don't know if I like the move that she's admitting. Don't go anywhere, okay? Coming up on today's show, some cornerbacks Baltimore could trade for. And then the Ravens insider of The Athletic, Mr. Jeff Zrebiak, gives us a little bit of talk about the deadline and who he believes the Ravens should target. But I want you to act as the GM. Let me know in the comment section down below. Be Eric DeCosta. Who do you think the Ravens should trade for at the deadline? Do you think it should be a cornerback? If so, name one. If you think it's another position, another player, you let me know down below. Let's start talking about cornerbacks, okay? And let's talk about Alontae Taylor, the cornerback from the New Orleans Saints. What we know about the Saints right now is it feels like they are pretty much going to be in seller mode. Rashid Shaheed or Chris Olave, I believe, is going to be moved, and I think Alontae Taylor will as well. So far in 2025, he's had a pretty good season, 64.3 overall grade. His coverage grade set has 68.8, only allowed 28 receptions, 280 yards, 3 pass deflections as well on this season. Now, I will admit to you, straight up, right to your face, I am a little bit biased on Alontae Taylor because he was a Tennessee Volunteer. He played for Tennessee when I worked for the football team a few years ago. So I like the guy, just naturally. But I also believe that Alontae Taylor would be a really great and really young addition to this cornerback room. I don't know what's going to happen with the future of Marlon Humphrey. He's had a very roller coaster-like season. Lots of ups, lots of downs, but we do know he's getting older. I think you have a future superstar in Nate Wiggins, but I don't know where you go from the future on because Chidobe Awuzie, he's on a one-year deal. TJ Tampa, he's not shaping up to what we all thought he would be during the 2024 NFL Draft. I would not mind one bit getting a young and talented cornerback on this team and there for years to come. Riq Woolen is another name I think we got to mention, another name we've talked about a good bit so far on this channel. Feels like we've talked about Riq Woolen probably once a week over the last couple of weeks, and that's because we know for a fact, and we have known for the past little bit, that the Seattle Seahawks are very, very interested in trading away and shopping Riq Woolen, and he's had an up-and-down season as well. Very, very similar to the season you've seen with Marlon Humphrey. Lots of really good things, lots of really bad things, but I will say this. The last time we saw Riq Woolen, because the Seahawks just had their bye in Week 8, was in Week 7 when they played the Houston Texans, and he by far had his best game of the year. Here's him against the Houston Texans' weapons. Jaylin Noel, 1 target, 0 receptions, 0 yards. Dalton Schultz, 2 targets, 2 receptions, 18 receiving yards. This is all with Riq Woolen in coverage. Nico Collins, 2 targets, 1 reception, 3 receiving yards. Xavier Hutchinson, 2 targets, 0 receptions, 0 yards. Jayden Higgins, 1 target, 0 receptions, 0 yards. So in coverage, he got targeted 8 times and allowed just above 21 yards on 3 receptions. I would not hate the fit one bit. I think I'd prefer to go a little bit younger, like we talked about with Alontae Taylor. But I do believe that Riq Woolen, a guy who's been in this league a very, very long time, would pick up this system very, very quickly. And I think you could integrate him just in maybe a week or 2. I will say there is a little bit of concern that I have with this system and the cornerback position in general. Because I think we all remember Brandon Stephens from last year. I think all of us were very, very happy to see him signed away by the New York Jets because of how, let's just face it, poor he looked in 2024. Well, this year, he's the highest graded cornerback in the entire NFL since Week 8. 82.2 grade. First among 72 qualifiers over the last 5 weeks. His coverage grade is 82.9. So there's a little part of me that believes that it might just not be a system. Zach Orr just might not be a defensive coordinator where these cornerbacks can't have success. I don't want to be pessimistic, but I think I at least need to show you the stat, and we at least need to have that conversation. Let's get back to the trade talks. How about Michael Carter II, cornerback for the New York Football Jets, just coming off their first win of the season. And I'm going to be honest with you, okay? I'm not too interested in Michael Carter. Like, cool, it'd be an addition you make, but it would just feel like trading for the sake of trading, if you're getting what I'm saying. Like, it just feels like you would be making a move for the sake of making a move and not adding somebody who you truly believe would be a big impact. Because this team needs somebody. Although this defense has been playing much better over the last couple of weeks, I still believe this team needs somebody that could take this roster, this defensive group, this secondary up another notch. Michael Carter is not that guy. Michael Carter is not going to be the difference in you competing for the playoffs and competing for Super Bowl. I can promise you that. Pick one of those 3 to trade for. Alontae Taylor, Riq Woolen, or Michael Carter. Let me know by typing their initials in the comment section down below. If I were you, I'd be all over Alontae Taylor. I know you guys will be all over our sponsor on today's video because they're our great friends over at PrizePicks. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with PrizePicks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. PrizePicks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Josh Allen's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on PrizePicks. On PrizePicks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose FlexPlay, where you can get paid, even if one of your picks misses, and if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, PrizePicks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Here's my PrizePicks lineup for Thursday Night Football against the Miami Dolphins. Go ahead and give me the more. I really like this one. A little spicy. Derrick Henry, first rush, more than 3.5 yards. Zay Flowers, feel like he's going to have a great day against that Miami Dolphins secondary. Give me more on 24.5-yard longest reception. And I like Devon Achane a lot. I think he's a great player And I think it's going to be hard to hold him under 14.5 yards for his long reception. So give me more for that as well. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Before we get on out of here, Jeff Zrebiak wrote about the Athletics trade targets for the Baltimore Ravens. And there's some names that we've discussed a lot, some we haven't discussed at all, and I think getting close to the trade deadline, we got to at least reopen up these conversations. Calais Campbell was his first suggestion. Obviously, he's been with Baltimore before. You and I were pounding the table for Baltimore to sign him free agency over this past offseason. Unfortunately, Arizona got to him first, and he's been having a phenomenal season. Well, Arizona kind of hasn't. I would be interested in seeing what Calais Campbell will cost from Arizona and would love to see him back in this Ravens defense. Even though he's old, he's got a lot of great football still ahead of him. Jermaine Johnson, and also not the only Jets edge rusher on this list, Will McDonald IV as well. If I had to pick one of these two guys, I think Jermaine Johnson would interest me just a little bit more. He's only 2 years removed from having the best season of his career. Last year, he was injured. This year, he's had a pretty decent one. But the Jets, man, they're going to be sellers. They're so bad, it's really hard to judge any one of their players' singular performances just because of the environment they're having to perform in. Jaylin Phillips, a name we've talked about a ton, pretty much every single week, maybe even every other day or so on this channel, because we know the Miami Dolphins will be making him available, especially if you beat them on Thursday and they fall to only a 2-win team. I think he'd fit perfectly in the system, and so would the guy next to him, Bradley Chubb. And the last name, a familiar name, Kevin Zeitler. The Tennessee Titans traded Roger McCreary yesterday. We know they're interested in trading everybody outside of Jeffrey Simmons and Cam Ward. Kevin Zeitler, I think, would fit in perfectly with this Ravens offensive line, and that's why he is one of my 2 dream trades out of all 5 of those guys, okay? I love Calais Campbell. I love, Will McDonald, but these 2 guys out of those 5 are the ones I would really, really want. Now, I think it's ridiculous to assume the Baltimore Ravens are going to make 3 total trades because they already traded away Odafe Oweh. They wouldn't, and then I have Jaylin Phillips and Kevin Zeitler here. I know they're not going to make 3 moves in total. I would not be surprised to see them make 2, though. And honestly, you could take your pick between Jaylin Phillips and Kevin Zeitler. Phillips has had a pretty solid season so far, 21 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. He's got a couple sacks in there as well. But when it comes to Kevin Zeitler, I think the plan would be trade for him, bring him back to Baltimore, and move Emory Jones in at guard, either left or right. I would probably bring Zeitler back in, put him in at right guard, move Emory Jones, and put him in at left, and then you have a entirely new, revamped offensive line, which I feel like would just be perfect for you in this offense moving forward. What say you guys? Should the Ravens trade for Zeitler? You let me know in the comment section down below by giving me a yes or a no. And make sure you got me followed on social media at Joey Peterson on Twitter. I'm on Instagram as well. And if you're not subscribed, well, change that right now.